it's Ariana. Welcome back to my channel. So for today's video, we're going to be reading some more scary stories. So I forgot to mention in my last video that I did switch up my intro and my end screen to being Christmas because we are in the Christmas season. So I'm going to be having that as my intro for the next month or so, and then I'll go back to my spooky regular intro. I really like both of them, so I just wanted to switch it up because my Christmas intro is really cute and I worked really hard on it. So as per usual, I have my wicked candle in here. It smells like caramel apples. I probably should get like a Christmas one or something, and I probably will, but for now we have the wicked candle because it's still so freaking cute and I love it so much. And I don't really have anything else to ramble about, so let's just jump on into these spooky stories. So the first story is from Reddit. It's from the no sleep section, and I'm super excited to read it because it's really fucking creepy and it's kind of graphic. So I'm gonna put a trigger warning here just so that you guys can skip past it if you're not into graphic stories. This one, it's a fictional story, but like it mentions death, so just be aware of that. From the no sleep section, it's from the Reddit author Elisa1254, and it's titled, "He Lives in the Walls and I Need Help." Throughout my life, I have been witness to some crazy shit. I know, jumping the gun with my intro, but I want to be blunt here. I will be lying or saying false info at no point throughout the story. Everything I say is the absolute truth. When I was in my teen years, I'm now 25, my family moved to this beautiful acreage in Saskatchewan. It was a decent sized place, but the interior was open and huge. There were 2 bedrooms, 1 master bedroom, 2 bathrooms, a full kitchen, a wine cellar, and a huge backyard. It had been my mother's dream to live on an acreage, and now she had. Since Dad got a better job, paying more, we decided to move somewhere nicer. My younger brothers were ecstatic to live somewhere with a big yard, since our last place didn't have a big one. Personally, I wasn't the biggest fan of the move. I left all of my friends behind, and this place didn't feel like home. But whatever. Everyone outvoted me, and now I have to live with it. I got the bigger of the 2 bedrooms since I'm the oldest. The first day, I went in, decked the place with posters, furniture, and lights, and made it my own personal utopia. Doing this made it feel more like home. Once I was done, I went out and helped my parents move their other stuff in. Brought in my bed, the couch, and many other things that I'm just too tired to name. This place was really coming together, and my day had gone smoothly. Everything stayed relatively lovely for the first few weeks. My brothers and I got comfortable with the new school, we made some friends, and things were coming together. In the 4th or 5th week is when things started to go strange. The first sign happened on a Monday. I was laying in bed when I started hearing scratching on the inside of the wall. It sounded like mice or rats. My mom and my dad heard it too. I could hear them talking about it while they were in their room. Dad said he would get some rat poison and put it in places of the house. No big deal. Just mice on an acreage. The next night, I remember hearing the house shift and creak in the blowing wind. It was dark in my room, and I was used to the noise, so I just listened while looking at the roof. Suddenly, I heard something that sounded like mud being dropped onto the floor on the other side of my room. I sat up to look in the direction of it, with the light of the moon helping me see. I swear, I saw part of the wall in an almost blob-like shape on my bedroom floor. I just watched it because I didn't know what to do. After watching it for a few minutes, I realized that the shape resembled that of a person in the fetal position. And if this is what it was, then the head was tilted and staring directly at me. Now, I don't know if I saw this or if it was my mind just playing tricks on me, but when I kept watching it, I swear I could see 2 white specks where the eyes were meant to be, staring directly at me. I must have been tired because I fell asleep while watching it. When I woke up, it was gone. I kept it to myself, thinking it was some kind of weird lucid dream. But throughout the day, I kept thinking about it and its odd shape. It wasn't too weird if it was a dream after all. The next night I heard my brother scream. When I went in to check on them, I saw them both in shock, staring at the wall across from them, huddled up on the floor by their window. I asked them what was wrong, and they started explaining that a man was in the corner of their room, which threw me off. I started going around the room, checking their closets, vents, behind their doors, under their beds, and found absolutely nothing but toys and dust. That night, I slept in their room so they could stop worrying. I was also pretty scared. The following day, Mom and Dad were missing. We figured they probably had late night business shit to get to and had little time to warn us, so they had just left. They left an apology note on the countertop, saying they had a long day. We went to school like normal and hung out with our friends. Coming home later, my mom and my dad were already asleep. I went to sleep before my brothers that night, which I deeply regret. That night, I woke up 3 hours later, hearing my brothers happily chatting with someone. I closed my eyes and tried to block them out, but suddenly, I heard what sounded like a panicked breath before it was muted. I sat up and I listened. My brothers were no longer talking. Instead, what I heard sounded like crunching. I got up from my bed and slowly made my way out, going to my brother's bedroom. I thought they had chips or something. I don't know what I was thinking, but when I opened the door, an image sealed away in my mind is one that I can't forget. I saw blood everywhere in their room. In the center of it, I saw this thing that looked like a werewolf on all fours, eating my brothers. I was in complete shock. I didn't know what to make of this. I was utterly frozen in fear. I backed out of the room and walked to my parents' room. I felt empty. There was no emotion I could describe to say how far I was gone. Then I entered their room. It looked identical to my brother's room, covered in blood. I simply stared and was unmoving until I heard a voice over my shoulder. Hello. I turned around to see an older man standing in front of me. He was covered in blood, and his eyes were almost like pinholes filled with white. I was utterly horrified. I didn't even move or open my mouth to scream. I just stared at him. He just stood there, unmoving, before speaking and telling me that he was full. He then turned sideways and walked into the wall, merging with it and disappearing from sight. I stayed completely still for what felt like an eternity before moving. Once I did, I left the house. In the time of 30 minutes, I had lost my entire family. To this day, I still don't understand what happened. I went to the town and got the police. When they returned to the house, they acted like this was normal. They seemed completely unfazed, maybe a bit bothered, but unfazed. They later told me that they considered it an animal attack due to the claw marks in the ground and the brutality that it was. I'm not crazy. I know what I saw. I watched my family die because of a thing in the wall, and no one believes me. I do not know what to do, so I'm writing this in hopes that someone will fucking believe me. And that's how they ended the story. So that was a really fucking sad story. It had a really tragic ending, and it was just all around fucking creepy. And I really like that there's like, seems to be a theme on Reddit lately, like with no sleep being like monsters. And I think that's really awesome. So that was a really cool story. It was obviously fiction, so take it as it is. It's just a werewolf story, but it was really fucking creepy. And I'm excited to read some more ghost stories now. So I have a couple in my email and in my DMs on Instagram. Hi, I just wanted to share a few of my paranormal encounters I had back in our family home. I'm a big fan of yours, all the way from the Philippines. Hi, thank you so much. I'm so glad like people all over the world are starting to find my videos and my channel. That is so cool. I grew up in the city, so I didn't expect too much of this so-called paranormal stuff. We live very close to a highway, and I can count how many deadly accidents I bear witness to since I was young up until my late 20s. I could just imagine how many lost souls are still wandering around. Maybe they got too many that they even entered our home. There was one time I had a friend over who in horror told me that they saw someone walking up the stairs. I brushed it off the first time, but when two of my friends told me this again, I told them that maybe it was just our helper. Though I went upstairs to find out, I checked my parents' room and no one was there. I got scared, but since I didn't want to scare my friends, I just told them it was my dad trying to sleep. My bad. Because when my friends went to go home, they saw my dad at the front door. They were surprised, and I could see the fear in their eyes. Another incident was with my younger brother, who was only 3 years old, accidentally locking himself inside his room. It was really impossible since he wasn't able to reach the lock, considering how small he was, and there was no chairs or objects that he could have used to elevate himself. My parents had to kick the door until cracks were formed. I looked through the crack, and I could see my brother near the wall, and I continued to tell him to stay where he was. But I swear, on the whole universe, I saw a shadow figure pacing back and forth in front of my brother without him seeing it. Finally, my dad was able to break the door open. My brother had a very high fever that evening. The third and last incident for today is about our pet dog's growling at something inside my brother's room again. We simply brushed it off since maybe he was just growling at his own reflection. But that very same night when my brother fell asleep, he had sleep paralysis. He could hear our dog growl, and his eyes were wide open, and he saw a dark entity cover his mouth and whisper, "Don't wake up." Coincidence? Nightmare? Maybe it was still the same bad entity, since he had a fever that morning as well. We decided to have our home blessed. And that's all they said. So that's super fucking creepy. Seeing shadow people inside your house is fucking terrifying. I hate that so much. Oh my God, that's awful. I hope that you either moved or you don't have to deal with that anymore, because that is horrible. So I'm gonna read a Let's Not Meet story. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit because I have a Let's Not Meet story for one of my Instagram users. I mentioned this in my last video, and this story is wild and I just really want to read it. So they said, "Hi, I have a story I'd like to share, but because it involves a large amount of people and we were all kids, I would like to remain anonymous. I'm going to keep a couple details pretty vague and use fake names for some of the people in the story. Trigger warning for harassment and death threats. Also, sorry for bad grammar, it's like 4:30 in the morning right now." So when I was in the 8th grade, our school orchestra went to a contest, and afterward, we went to a popular amusement park in our state. We had 2 buses of students, 8th grade through 12th grade, and about 10 to 12 chaperones that either drove separately or were on the buses. We went to the amusement park and broke up into groups of 3 to 5 and 1 chaperone for every group, and one of them was a 12th grader. I was in the group of 4 girls. We'll call them Carly, Ruby, Maddie, and Taylor. After about an hour of going on roller coasters, we were waiting in line for one of the water rides since it had started to rain when a guy who was somewhere between 18 and 20 came up behind us. It's important to note here that me and Carly are still in clothes we wore for the contest, white shirt and black bottoms. He made a comment to Ruby saying she was really cute and a joke that she had to be too short to ride any of the rides. Then he started talking to the rest of us, making comments on our appearances, telling us we were attractive and adorable and how we must reel in all the boys, before telling Carly that it was weird that she wore a flowery bra under a white shirt. Again, we were in the 8th grade, and this was an adult. After that comment, one of the older guys in line ahead of us offered to switch places, which we agreed. After that ride, we were all freaked out, so we decided we were going to take a break for a little while and get some food. We had also decided not to tell Ruby's mom, our chaperone, about it, which was dumb. We got food and continued around the opposite end of the park in hopes to avoid him for the next couple of hours. Eventually, I had to use the restroom, so we took a pit stop. I went to the restroom while Ruby's mom took the rest of them to get fries at a stand across the path. When I was about to leave the restroom, the same guy from earlier blocked the doorway and said something along the lines of, "Come on, sweetie, I just want to talk." I remember telling him to leave me the fuck alone while backing away from him. Thankfully, there was a mom with her kid that screamed at the dude to get the hell away from the woman's bathroom. He stared at me for a minute and then left. I waited in there another minute or 2 before sprinting back to my friends. I didn't tell them about what had happened mainly because I was having a panic attack at that point, and we had to sit for another half an hour before I calmed down enough to be able to function. Afterwards, I waited with Ruby's mom while everyone else went on rides, and it was normal for the rest of the trip, until we were getting ready to go back on the buses and our director was taking attendance. We had gotten on the buses and I had assumed everything was done with. I had never seen that guy again and I could just move on with my life. As I said, before bus 1 had all of the chaperones and my director on it and all the students who had handheld instruments, violin, mandolin, etc., while bus 2 had all of the students with instruments the size or larger than a person, guitar, cello, an upright bass. I was sitting in the first seat right by the door next to my cello. We drove for about an hour before the buses pulled over into a McDonald's parking lot. Turns out one of the kids got motion sick and had thrown up. While we were stopped, there was a knock on the glass. The driver opened it asking what was up. The person who knocked said something along the lines of, "I'm just checking to make sure my sister got on the bus." And because he looked like one of the high schoolers, the bus driver let him on. It wasn't one of the high schoolers. It was the same guy from the amusement park. When he got on the bus, he pulled out his phone and I could see a camera flash go off a couple of times. He took a picture of me and 2 kids sitting behind me for sure, and I don't know if he got pictures of anyone else. After he took those pictures, the bus driver realized it wasn't a student and started to stand up to get him off the bus. He did so, and the guy threatened all of us. "I know what you look like and what school you go to, and I'm going to kill every single one of you," he said. The bus driver shoved him out of the bus, and my teacher came running out of the bus while chasing the guy to his car, where he got in the passenger seat, and I guess his friends sped out of there. She came into our bus to make sure we were all right, and the bus driver apologized for letting him on the bus because he thought he was a student. Once she saw that we were all okay and everyone was back in their respective buses, we went back to the school. I never saw the guy again. Now that I'm graduated, it's not something I'm overly concerned about, but throughout the rest of my time in school, there was always a worry in the back of my mind, wondering what he did with those pictures, and if he was going to come to our school and hurt us. I mean, he chased our bus for an hour. What if we hadn't made that pit stop? Would he have followed us all the way back to our school? Would he have followed some of us home? I don't know, but I'm glad I'll never find out. The thing that's most insane to me about this story is how hushed they kept it. I had to file a police report a couple of days later, but no news stories or other kids in our school were told about it. My teachers, who were 8th graders, Ruby and Maddie, told everyone that would listen. Nobody on the other buses were even told about it. My parents were told, and the parents of the kids who were directly involved were told, but that was it. We were never updated if this guy was found or if he was put in jail or not. Thanks for listening to my story. I know it was long, and sorry for all the message. Instagram doesn't let me put the whole thing in one. I love your channel, and I thought it was about time that I got this off my chest. If you're interested, I do have other stories unrelated to this. And then she sent me some of her other stories. So that's fucking terrifying. Just like, that is like one of the most uncomfortable like encounters ever. Like, this guy would not leave you alone, and you guys were clearly in the 8th grade and he was clearly an adult. That's just so fucked up. So obviously that wasn't a paranormal story, but I wanted to just include it in here just because I probably do have some younger people that watch my videos. And if you guys ever come into a situation where you have an adult or just anyone in general harassing you, tell somebody immediately. Like, fuck that. Like, do not keep that to yourself. I would alert an adult immediately and be like, fuck this person, get this person away from me, or at least alert security so that they can have them removed and make sure that security is watching them to keep them away from you guys, because clearly he didn't have great intentions. There's no fucking reason that an adult should be harassing 8th graders. You guys are what, like 13, 14 years old? That's so fucked up. So this is where I'm going to end the video because that one kind of set me off, and I could rant all day about how I don't like people and the world is full of assholes, but my furnace just kicked in, so this is where I'm gonna end the video. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I know that some of the stories weren't paranormal related, but I hope you guys still enjoyed anyway. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you guys did enjoy it, please make sure to give it a big thumbs up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button down below for more content like this, and I will see you guys at the next video. Bye!